I'm 51 years old. I've lived in this country my entire life. There was a time when there were so many things, so many types of behavior and reaction that just wouldn't have been acceptable. Yeah. And I think these last 15 or 16 months, because the passions run deep and there's a lot of confusion out there, a lot of misinformation that's being put out there, I think a lot of that started to unravel. And I believe governments at all levels do have a core obligation to say enough. Enough is enough. We're going to reset, we're going to reframe, we're going to bring this community and this province and this country back to a place where we celebrate our rights and freedoms, but we also honor the obligations that we have to one another, to be respectful, to be civil, and to look out for one another.
Bro, loud when we got 15 cops out, right?
Roll back to Europe. Roll there. Roll back to Europe.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Vaughan, Ontario. And folks, I'm standing outside Vaughan City Hall. This is the first council meeting since that horrible incident took place outside a Clark Avenue synagogue in Thornhill. You might recall we were there a week ago Monday to cover pro-Hamas people showing up to, well, par for the course, chant genocide and storm a synagogue, which, by the way, is contrary to sections 319 and 176 of the Criminal Code of Canada. And that vulgar display was also in violation of Vaughan's brand new bylaw. It was just ratified in June, in which there's a 100-meter bubble zone around so-called vulnerable institutions. That would include places of worship. Now, you may argue pro or con if a bubble zone idea is a good one, but that's besides the point. It is legislation in Vaughan right now, but as we found out yet again, law enforcement refused to enforce the law, and bylaw refused to enforce the brand new bylaw. Check it out.
Sir, why is the 100-meter rule not...
I'm not going to answer any questions, please.
You're not going to answer any questions? Okay, then. How about yourself, officer? Can you tell me why the 100-meter bylaw is not being...
You know what the bylaw is?
It says a 100-meter...
What does it say, though? The whole bylaw.
Pardon me?
What does the whole bylaw say?
Well, I've got parts of it
You got
here.
parts of it. So if you look at the whole thing,
Yeah.
there's nothing that's being breached right now.
Including the 100 meters?
What's 100 meters? You have part of it. So if you look at the whole thing, unfortunately, nothing's being breached at the moment.
So can you tell me the exemption of the 100 meters? Because this is clearly not 100 meters, officer.
Okay, once again, if you have the whole bylaw, nothing is being breached. So we'll come back with the whole bylaw and we'll be fine.
Okay, I know the tangible number is 100 meters from the property line, and clearly that's being breached.
For what? What's 100 meters?
For a demonstration.
Okay, once again, you don't have the whole wording, but right now, nothing is being breached. And we're just here for public safety.
Yeah, so that was absolutely, completely hellacious. So we thought we would drop by and find out what is going to happen here at City Council, if it even comes up on the agenda. Vaughan Mayor David Del Duca, he has expressed shock and outrage over what happened at the synagogue. And he has said he's reached out to residents, to bylaw enforcement, to the York Regional Police in order to get answers. We're hopeful to get an interview with Mayor Del Duca. So let's go in, check out the City Council meeting, and hopefully we'll get the mayor, in his own words, to weigh in on what happened a week ago Monday, and also what he plans to do about future displays of hooliganism in the streets of Vaughan. On Clark Avenue in Vaughan, that was the inspiration for the so-called bubble zone bylaw. Why was the bylaw and the law not enforced that night?
So first of all, I've had the opportunity since Monday to speak with many of our community members in the Jewish community, the leadership of the Bayat, Rabbi Korobkin, and several others. I've been engaged in a lot of conversations since Monday night. I was nearby Monday night during the protest. I was at the community center that's just down the street, so I was getting regular updates. I saw somewhat firsthand what the challenges were. I have a lot of questions. These are questions that are part, not just me, but questions that others have as well, that are part of the review that we are undertaking in collaboration with YRP to figure out what went right and where we can do better should the need arise for us to be prepared for future protests. Obviously, as mayor, I'm hopeful that there are no other protests in our city that are in close proximity to places of worship or other vulnerable social infrastructure. But should that arise, I want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to keep our residents safe.
Have you reached out to York Regional Police, Mayor? Because they seemed more concerned about a resident turning down music than they were with the pro-Hamas people actually chanting for genocide.
So I have spoken with members of York Regional Police. I was speaking with them that evening, and I've spoken with them since. There will be ongoing conversations. I think they're hearing loudly and clearly that there, as I am, that there is a great deal of confusion, I would say disappointment, and even anger in the community. And I understand those feelings. That makes me feel like I have an even greater obligation to go through this process, conduct the review, work closely between our bylaw department and Vaughan Fire and Rescue and YRP to make sure that we're prepared going forward. And I suspect in the coming days, YRP will have the opportunity not only to hear from me, but to hear from some of the leadership of the Bayat and elsewhere about things that our residents experienced that really were very, very troubling to me and to our community.
We also noticed about half a kilometer down the street, there was a City of Vaughan pickup truck with 2 bylaw officers in it. If you watch our video, you can see I'm trying to engage them. Yep. They pretended I wasn't there. They were just idling their truck. By the way, in violation of Vaughan's 5-minute idling bylaw, I don't know if they gave themselves tickets, but what in the world were they doing? I mean, it's one thing to bring in a bylaw, and I know there's a lot of debate of people who are pro and con a 100-meter bubble zone for any kind of institution, but the fact remains that is the bylaw now, and they weren't even anywhere near the scene. They weren't writing tickets. Have those officers been reprimanded?
Yeah, so again, these are the questions that I'm being asked, not only by you, but by residents in the community. These are questions that I have passed along to our senior staff here. We are going through the review. I know that sounds like it's typical politicians just saying, well, there's going to be a review, but I take it quite seriously. Our bylaw, which was unprecedented in Canada, not just in Ontario, was something that came about because I brought forward the members' resolution in the aftermath of the March protests, the 2 that we had, because this is very important to me personally. Our council unanimously approved that bylaw several months ago. So I do feel that I have an obligation to make sure that we are living up to both the spirit and the content of the bylaw. I'm 51 years old. I've lived in this country my entire life. There was a time when there were so many things, so many types of behavior and reaction that just wouldn't have been acceptable. Yeah. And I think these last 15 or 16 months, because the passions run deep and there's a lot of confusion out there, a lot of misinformation that's being put out there, I think a lot of that started to unravel. And I believe governments at all levels do have a core obligation to say enough. Enough is enough. We're going to reset, we're going to reframe, we're going to bring this community and this province and this country back to a place where we celebrate our rights and freedoms, but we also honor the obligations that we have to one another to be respectful, to be civil, and to look out for one another. And I think that's not completely lost, but it's certainly dissipating. It's certainly fraying. That's why leaders have to take a stronger stand. That's what I've tried to do with the bylaw. We clearly have more work to do, but that's work that I'm committed to dealing with. Yeah, so my expectation is that all of our bylaws will be enforced appropriately. I think that's a reasonable expectation for the mayor to have, but also for our residents to have. I think we need a more solid and more clear approach to what processes and protocols and policies are in place so that, again, I hope sincerely we don't need to use the bylaw. I said that from day one. But should we need to use this particular bylaw, it's very clearly understood how, when, and who, and how that will be implemented. And that's part of why we need to go through what happened on Monday.
Well, there you go, folks. In a way, I'm still in a bit of a state of shock going to a city council meeting, being treated with respect and dignity and actually getting an on-the-record interview with a mayor. So points to Mayor Stephen Del Duca for that. And I'm going to take the mayor at his word that he's going to reach out to bylaw and to York Regional Police. They're going to try and fix what went completely off the rails a week ago Monday in front of that Clark Avenue Synagogue. We all know that those pro-Hamas people, they will be back. They are forever pushing the envelope. This time, or next time, as I should say, let's see if law enforcement and bylaw actually, enforce the laws and the bylaws, because let's face it, folks, if you do not enforce laws and bylaws, well, you may as well not have laws and bylaws in the first place, right? For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzies. All Our beautiful Jumbotron equipped truck is parked behind me. There are video clips of what happened in front of that synagogue in Thornhill a week ago Monday. It was not a pretty sight. We're here to drive the truck around Vaughan City Hall. Just in case people here aren't getting the message, we are going to deliver it in a very vibrant fashion. And please, if you can, go to our new campaign, takebackourstreets.com. Takebackourstreets.com. The nonsense and shenanigans we have seen in the streets of our great Dominion these past 14 months, it's enough already. Sign the petition, and if you're able to, kindly make a donation so that Rebel News can bring you the other side of the story, the side of the story that the mainstream media, for whatever reason, has absolutely no interest in bringing you.